Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, doing a video on my favorite Star Wars film. I don't know why I've never done this video before, but it finally occurred to me. Rogue One's coming out, I should probably talk about Star Wars. So, just did like, my favorite games thing, and now just back, to keep it simple, favorite film. We have, well, I guess we're gonna have 8 to choose from once Rogue One comes out. I'm actually really curious where that's gonna end up ranking as far as, the whole franchise and how I list all the movies out. But just to get it, right to it, personally, my favorite is Return of the Jedi. I know that that's like a crazy thing. Like a lot of people don't like Return of the Jedi as much. Of course, typically the answer is, of course, Empire Strikes Back. It's like everyone says that it's like the perfect film and stuff. I'd argue against that. Like I know it's super epic and it's really fun. And it's not as cheesy, it doesn't have like the Ewoks and stuff, so I get that it doesn't have like those cheesy elements, but I could easily argue against Empire Strikes Back where everybody's like, it's perfect from beginning to end, and that whole middle section is Luke was gone for 6 months, and Leia, Han, Chewie, and 3PO did nothing. I could really argue that, but I don't, get into all that. But for me personally, it's Return of the Jedi. As much as I do love the ending battle between Luke and Vader, and you of course you have the epic reveal for Empire. I just always loved the ending to Return of the Jedi more because I guess because it was the conclusion. I mean, that was like the first time it happened, so in a sense that's also like, you're like, holy crap, we've never seen this before, because Luke didn't really fight using his lightsaber in the first film. So we get to really see that for the first time in Empire, and it's like, that's insane. Like that's the first time it would have ever happened. And technically I still had that experience, but I guess for me, I was so young I don't even remember the first time I ever saw Darth Vader fight Luke Skywalker. Like I remember seeing the re-release of A New Hope in theaters. I don't think I got to see Empire and Return in theaters when they were re-released. I just remember seeing A New Hope, and the only scene I remember, I don't know why this stands out in my head, but the only scene I remember is Luke and Leia when they swing across the gap, and Leia like kisses him on the cheek, and they swing across the gap from the stormtroopers. Only thing I remember from seeing the original, or well, the re-release of Star Wars in theaters. So don't know why, but that's all I got. But going through it, I just prefer Return of the Jedi. Like the ending battle, I feel has more weight to it. As cool as they both are, I just like the ending battle to Return a little bit more because it's more emotional. It's the final battle because, of course, it's, at the time it was the final film. So I just felt the stakes were much higher. It's like, what is going to happen here? The whole story of 3 is that, or Return of the Jedi, I guess, is that Luke is kind of transitioning, or he's supposed to be transitioning to the dark side as far as, Vader and the Emperor are concerned. It's like, alright, it's time to transition him. They show it in the film, like that whole movie, he's super dark, like he even wears like an all-black outfit and everything. Like it's kind of there, it's hinted, like this is his character. How close is he going to get to the precipice of becoming a Sith? And they do stuff early on, like when he first goes to Jabba's palace, his first move is like, alright, force choke you. They probably don't actually die, but I'm like, it looked like he killed them to me. The sort of, the pig-looking things, of course I don't know the actual names of those aliens. But that's like the first thing he does when they walk up to him. He's like, nope, and they both go like this. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he killed both of them. So they, kind of put that in there, like there's some dark stuff going on with Luke's character, where he's, they take it from Empire Strikes Back, where it's like, he's not prepared to be, going up against Vader and stuff like that, and he lost in the last movie, and so now he has to kind of learn from that mistake, and, he actually does need to grow to become a Jedi Master, and Yoda kind of tells him that he has, because he's gone through that loss in the last film. So, I think that's why it's really my favorite, is like that ending battle. I do have an insane bias for speeder bikes. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I'm like, I lose my mind when speeder bikes show up. Like in anything I see in Star Wars, I'm like, holy crap, they got speeder bikes. It's like speeder bikes and AT-AT walkers are like my 2 favorite like vehicles in all of Star Wars. I don't know why, but I just love speeder bikes so much. So I just love that whole sequence. The whole speeder bike sequence is phenomenal. And then the Jabba's Palace stuff at the beginning of the film I really love. Like I just really enjoy that. The ending of it, like I said, I feel has the biggest impact on the entire franchise, even though it's, well, I guess technically it's not anymore, but it was the end of it. At that time, it was just the conclusion to the story. I just always loved it. I just always thought that that was more entertaining than Empire Strikes Back, which I thought was really cool. It's not like I don't like Empire Strikes Back, but I just didn't think it was as entertaining. Like that one, they have the battle on Hoth, and that's really cool, and they go through, and it's like, things get really crazy, and that's when everybody kind of splits up. So Luke goes to train for 4 or 6 months, or whatever the weird time is that I didn't realize that they skipped that much time for years. I think I found that out, it had to have been this year or last year. I found out that was like 4 or 6 months in between when he left to train with Yoda and to go to Cloud City. I never realized that until somebody mentioned it. And then I watched the movie and I was like, holy crap, it's right there. Like there's somewhere in there where they mentioned that it's been like 4 months or something crazy. And I just never picked up on that. So that was nuts when I figured that out. But, he goes and he trains with Yoda. And so, of course, we have Han, Leia, Chewie, 3PO, and R2. Or 3PO, because R2's with Luke. And they go through all this stuff. And it's like, all right, we meet Lando Calrissian. He's really cool. And they go through and it's like, holy crap, there's Darth Vader. Here comes Boba Fett. And it's interesting, but I just always felt like there was a big lull in that part of the film. And I guess in a sense, so does, Return of the Jedi has like the exact same thing, really. It's like, okay, here's Jabba's palace and stuff, and then almost the same thing, he goes to see Yoda, and it's almost the exact same lull. But I guess it's just shorter, because it's not Luke learning, so it doesn't take up as much time. It's him kind of getting that final moment. We lose Yoda in the ending sequence. And then, he goes off, and they do the Endor mission. So, I don't know. It's just interesting. So, I don't know. For me, it's always just been Return of the Jedi, and, that ending sequence. And like I said, I feel like the Ewoks are kind of what made Return of the Jedi the way that it is. Because I feel like if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't have that sort of cheesy stuff that it did. Because, it's like Ewoks. They're like little cute teddy bears, pretty much. That's what they are. So it kind of has that element that's sort of cheesy to it, and then Empire Strikes Back doesn't really have that at all. It's like it's probably the darkest one because of that. Like New Hope is you're thrown into this world. It's actiony, and it's like this is very hopeful, and then some stuff gets dark, of course, with Obi-Wan not exactly being killed, but seemingly being killed. And so the way they go through that, and then Empire Strikes Back comes in, and that's just like, alright, well, Luke gets captured, he almost freezes, he has to fight Wampa, they do the Hoth battle, then he goes to train, and he's depressed and angry and stuff, like, I can't freaking figure this crap out. His friends are about to get killed, he has visions of them, and he has to take off and finds out that the main villain is his dad, gets his hand chopped off. All sorts of bad stuff happens in that film, and it's like, this is super dramatic and entertaining, and then, Return of the Jedi comes in, starts off, pretty dramatic. The Jabba Palace stuff and 3PO and R2 kind of being sold off a little bit by Luke, and it's like, what the heck is the plan here? Like, things start off really interesting to me. And then it kind of gets a little, campy once they get to the Forest Moon of Endor and they start that mission. It's like, alright, everything's serious, and Ewoks come in and it gets really silly and stuff like that. Or, I feel like it doesn't get too silly, but it gets silly enough to where you notice that it's silly. So I feel like that's kind of, a big chunk of it, because I feel like, like I said, the ending is insanely dramatic. You have that final battle with Luke versus Vader. Like, my favorite scene is when Luke actually kind of loses it, because Darth Vader finally realizes that Luke has a sister. He's like, oh, maybe if you won't join me, then perhaps she will. And that, like, sends Luke overboard, and they have, like, that's when they, like, the music kicks up, and Luke's just going nuts, and I always remember that, because he's not really doing anything. He's just like, and he's just swinging back and forth and hitting everything. And I always thought it was kind of cool and dramatic, but I just always, that's why it was my favorite. It was like that ending sequence by itself, just that battle, is what makes that whole movie my favorite, although I still love everything else in the film. That's just why it always kind of resonated the most with me. I was like, this is the ending battle with these characters. This is a man fighting his own father, trying to convince him to be good, while his father's trying to convince him to turn evil, which he almost did, because the whole point of that battle is that Luke was about to kill the Emperor, but Vader stopped him, because the point wasn't to kill the Emperor, it was to turn Luke and have that happen. And little stuff like that is also why I really love the movie, because it showed how, dark Luke got. So that's why it was my favorite. I don't think like the action was the best. I thought the action was actually almost exactly the same as the previous film, but I just loved it. I just liked it more because I thought the impact was greater. Um, Maybe not like a super crazy epic reveal. We find out that Luke and Leia are, twins, but that's not as crazy as the Darth Vader reveal. It's still a nice reveal, but just something about it, the emotional impact of that ending sequence, and of course, Vader taking out the Emperor in order to save Luke, stuff like that. I just loved it. I thought it was really good, and you know, I kind of like the Ewoks a little bit. They have their emotional moment. That part where the one Ewok dies and the other one tries to pick it up, that makes me sad every time. I'm like, oh, that it doesn't realize that its friend is dead. That makes me sad. Like every time I see it, I'm like, that's like oddly super depressing. It's like they're in the middle of a battle and everything. Tons of people are dying all over the place, and they have that one sequence every time I watch it, and I'm like, something about that is just so freaking sad to me. I don't know why, but I really enjoy. Of course, like I said, it's Star Wars, so it's not like if someone said you want to watch, Empire, I would say no, or A New Hope or anything. But if I had to choose, if I had to pick one movie out of the entire franchise, I would definitely choose Return of the Jedi. Like, as much as I would love to see like a big action movie, which if I wanted to see like a really big action sequence, I'd actually choose Episode 3. Like, if I wanted to be like, let's watch the action-y Star Wars movie, it's Episode 3 for sure, because it starts off with a giant space battle, then it goes into, they destroy a bunch of robots, or droids if you want to get super technical, but they take out a bunch of droids, then they fight Count Dooku, he gets decapitated, which is nuts, and it just goes through a bunch of insanity. Well, it stops right there, and then we have the giant lull. And then we do like, there's a big chunk of that, like the ending, maybe like 30 or 40 minutes is just kind of chaos. A bunch of people get killed, a bunch of revelations, Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and then of course the final battle. So if I wanted a big action Star Wars movie, of course I'll choose that, but if I want to pick my favorite, I'd have to go Return of the Jedi. Admittedly, I never really ranked all the movies, so if I kind of do it off the top of my head, of course, Return of the Jedi is number one. Um, I, I probably would choose Empire right after that, and then maybe, I guess I'd choose Force Awakens. Force Awakens would be number 3, and then I do love A New Hope, but after the third movie, it kind of gets to the point where I'm like, I kind of just want to see an action movie, so it kind of just go. I think it would go Episode 3 and then A New Hope, and then after that, it's hard to say. I'd probably put Phantom Menace before Clone Wars because I love Darth Vader, or not Darth Vader, but Darth Maul is like the coolest thing in the universe. Like, honestly, for a super long time before I like really thought about it, I always said that Phantom Menace was my favorite because honestly, it was Darth Maul. It was like, I ignored that entire movie. I was like, but Darth Maul, super cool. But it's like, if logically, Episode 3 is the best out of all the prequels. And it's hard for me to choose. Like, Clone Wars, I think was cool. But I remember watching that and not enjoying it when I first saw it. Because I was like, this didn't start with like a cool epic battle or anything intense. So it's like, that explosion happens. And then there's kind of nothing else after that for a super long time. Like, there's no real action in that for a very long time. Like, they have that chase sequence, which is actiony when it like first happens, but when you actually rewatch the movie, it's like, that's not much. It's like, that doesn't lead to anything. They go through, they find this assassin that gets killed by Jango, and then that's it for a super long time. It just goes back to talking for, I don't know, I guess until they go to Tatooine. There's like no, that's why that movie, I feel like I have to put him as my least favorite, even though once again the last like 40 minutes, crazy. It's just a bunch of Jedi versus droids. It's all CG and lightsabers and stuff, and I can be entertained by that. But I just feel like, I don't know. I guess I felt the pacing was off for that, which is crazy because I mean, it's Star Wars. It's just they all kind of tend to follow the same little thing. But that's kind of how I'd rank it. So it would be Return, Empire, Force Awakens, A New Hope, or after Force Awakens would actually be Episode 3, and then A New Hope, which I know probably like drives people crazy. I'm sorry, but that's, like I said, eventually it just gets to the point where it's like, alright, well, if I'm going in order, well, if I'm watching all of them, I just watch the originals and then watch the prequels. I would just literally go in order of when they were released. But the point is, as far as my ranking, that's kind of how it goes. So Return, Empire, Force Awakens, Episode 3, A New Hope, and yeah, I guess I'd have to. I'd have to go Phantom Menace, and then my last would be Attack of the Clones because, like I said, I just feel like the pacing, you know, there's a lot of stuff I feel in Phantom Menace, despite how everyone feels about it. I feel like the pacing for it is a bit better than Attack of the Clones, because like you have a cool action sequence in the beginning. Gungan stuff is irrelevant, but they have that little sequence when they first get to Naboo, where they fight the droids and they get everybody to Tatooine. Then we get a little bit of explanation. Pod race is cool. Darth Maul comes in for the first time, which is just beautiful. And then there's some other good stuff in between that action-wise, but then you just get to the ending, and it's just the best thing ever. Especially after Qui-Gon gets killed. That's the best part in that whole movie. And there's no music, and it's just sound effects. I think of that. I honestly, no matter what you might think about Phantom Menace, that is one of the best moments, I think, in all of Star Wars. Like, after Qui-Gon is killed, and it's just Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul, there's no music, just straight sound effects, and I was like, the emotion there, I think, is just really well done. Like, it's done well because of the lack of music. It's like, no, this is serious, and he wants to kill this dude, and that's just one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars. But that's me. Like I said, might be insane for you guys that I would even choose Return. My list in general, that I would ever put a prequel before any of the originals. But that's just my opinion. I would love to know your favorite Star Wars films. Where you guys think Rogue One might rank? I'm very curious, because so far everyone loves it, and if it's going to be as dark as I think, it might end up being #1, because I would love a good, really dark, Star Wars film, and it might kind of, squeeze in there between Return and Empire. It might just push them both down, and it might be #1. I don't know yet, but I would love to know your position on all the Star Wars films, where you would rank them, which one's your favorite. If you guys want to throw in like some of your favorite moments, maybe from the prequels that, even though they may not have been the favorite movies of everyone who loves Star Wars, there are some epic moments in there. I might do a totally separate video on that, because I hadn't considered that before, but I'd love to know how you guys rank the film, so please comment below, let me know, and of course, thanks for watching.